that her husband is paying for multiple OnlyFans subscriptions. So should she be mad about it or not? If you have a dilemma, you want to hit us up, go to thebertshow.com, shoot us your email. We'll read it on air, try to give you our best advice, and see if any Bert Show listeners can help you out as well. Mo, what's the email about today?
Hey, Bert Show.
Hey.
Back in April, I accidentally found out a few things about my husband. His phone was on the couch beside me and had lit up, just on the lock screen where it has notifications. I glanced. There was an OnlyFans email. And I read it.
Stop real quick. Mo, Cassie, your significant other's phone is laying there, and it lights up, and there's a notification. Do you read it, or do you not read it?
I mean, if it lights up and I can see what the text says without picking it up, like an OnlyFans notification, yes. A text message, no. I'm not going to go into reading the details.
I'm not reading it.
Nothing?
Today, no. Old me, yes. But today, I'm not, I don't care what it is. I'm not reading it.
Really?
Whatever.
No,
if he has
an
OnlyFans subscription, he better be sharing that with me.
No, I agree with that. But Mo was just saying, like, regardless of what it is, OnlyFans or not, if anything dings, pops up notification on your significant other's phone and it's laying right next to you and you can glance over and read it, do you ignore it or do you look at it and read it?
How do you ignore it? Like, I literally walk up behind my husband and I'll see he's texting something and I can't stop myself from reading who it's with. Like,
Yes,
I don't care about the
can.
content. I'll be like, oh, what is your sister saying today?
Yeah.
And I'll just ask him what he's talking about with his friends. I don't go through his phone. I would never. But if it pops up and it's right in front of me, I'm not going to read the text message, but I'll be like, oh, why did your friend Simon text you?
Listen, it is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
No. Listen,
Okay.
listen, Mo, listen.
I'm listening.
Listen, Mo, listen.
Linda!
Listen, Linda, listen. That's exactly where I was going with that.
No.
When I was sitting in the middle seat on the plane, right? And you have two people and they're both on their phones. It is so hard not to glance over and see what they're doing.
It's hard. It's not impossible.
It isn't possible because it's right there.
No, it is not.
Girl, I'm with you. I will watch their movies.
Yes.
I will read their books. You got a Kindle. I need you to slow down a little bit. It's hard to read it from this angle, but it seems like a dang good book. I will ask people, I'm like, what book were you reading? It's really interesting.
You said what book were you reading, not what the bleep were you reading, right?
Yeah, what book are you reading?
Yeah, it sounded like you said what the F
That's
are
what
you
you heard.
reading?
Oh, no. What book are you reading? Like if they're reading a Kindle or on their phone. No, book. Trust me.
Book. No, so the guy next to me was watching House of Dragons. And so I'm
Wow.
saving up and I haven't watched it yet. And so when we landed, I go, so House of Dragons, is it any good? And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
All right, good stuff. All right, continue.
All right. His phone was on the couch beside me, had lit up, just on the lock screen, had his notifications. I glanced.
Yep.
There was an OnlyFans email, and I read it. There were two. His subscription was ending for a girl.
Huh.
So I looked up her name on Google, because that's really hard not to do as well, right? I know.
Just curious.
And yeah, I can see my husband being into her. At the time, I didn't know much about OnlyFans, so I decided to ask two guy friends for more information. What I'm mad at first is that it's a subscription. He had to pay for that, especially when we're in financial disarray right now. Why can't he just go on Pornhub like everybody else? Fair point. Then my husband sells stuff on eBay. I went to find his listing and share it with my friend when I saw my husband had a Twitter account, which I found odd because in the past he was verbally made it clear how much he dislikes a lot of these social platforms. Twitter was one of them. So I clicked on it, thinking, well, maybe it's from when we were in college. My heart dropped when I saw a long list of OnlyFans girls he follows, retweets, and God knows what else. He's been doing this since at least 2018, according to Twitter. We got married in 2015, had our first baby in 2017. I had endured some postpartum issues and anxiety during my childbearing years, and this past year, he has actually said things are great now. Needless to say, I've kept all this to myself for months now, knowing what he's doing.
Months? She's kept this to herself for months?
That's impressive. Currently still doing it, and knowing that he's been doing this for years. What do I do? How do I start a conversation about it knowing that our lives are probably going to forever change after this? Because, I'm sorry, but knowing he had to pay to see these girls and who knows what else, is that not cheating? I'm at a loss. I'm pissed. I try not to roll my eyes when he says he loves me every day. We have 2 young kids. He struggles with depression. Now I can't even sympathize with him knowing what he's been doing. Probably would tear him apart when I tell him I know. He's probably going to go off about how I probably spied on him or I even found out. My trust in him is shot. Do I still love him? Yes, I do. But now only because he's the father of my children. Clearly, I'm not the only one he wants in his life, like he tells me. God help me figure out what I need to do, or more importantly, say, to then figure out our next steps. I need a step-by-step guide. Truthfully, I'm too afraid to say anything, as our lives will probably change. I'm hurt. I'm sad. Thanks, Bert Show, anonymous wife.
All right, I'm validating all of your feelings. You feel betrayed. I totally get that. Especially now that he's like, things are great now, and you're like, awesome. And then you feel like, well, the reason why things are great is because he has these other outlets that he is using to fulfill certain needs in his life. Here's the thing. You said that you're afraid this is going to change things forever. Maybe it will, for the better. So I want to put that hope out there. You have to let him know that you know. You've been holding on to this for months. And I would just use the example of like, I went to your eBay to copy the link to share it, and it was attached to a Twitter. You said you didn't like Twitter. And when I went there, everything was right there in plain sight. And the fact that you've been hiding all of this from me, like, we just need to get this all out in the open so we can have a discussion as to why you do this, but more importantly, why you feel you need to do this. Cass?
Man, throwing in the postpartum depression in there, that's really hard because that'll make you feel like a giant failure as a wife. But I don't think it's cheating. I think it is highly disrespectful, though. And I think it's a secret you shouldn't have. And again, validating, you're allowed to be hurt. I think the way to come at it, though, is what made him seek this out and what can you guys do in your relationship where he doesn't need to do this anymore. And I think you can tell him that you're hurt. Communication is important. And the thing is, it's already changed everything because now you have this secret and this information and it's going to eat away at you inside. And it's so painful to be married to someone. I can't even imagine have their child and then find out they're paying other women so that they can see them when you're there at home raising their kid, being a part of their everyday, and they're hiding this from you. It feels dirty. And it's something like you guys should do together or not at all.
Yeah, I commend her for being able to hold on to this for months. I wouldn't have been able to hold on this for a day. I actually can see how she can consider it cheating, not so much for the action, but for the fact that he's hiding it. That's what the issue would really be with me. If he didn't think it was a problem, then there would be no need to hide it. So the fact that he has been hiding it for so long, it would be a problem. And if I were her, I wouldn't worry about what the results would be because I wouldn't want to live the rest of my life having this and knowing this.
Yeah.
So you have to let this go. You have to put it out there. And you have to be honest about how you found out. I would be. It doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. It's now we're here, and he has some things that he needs to answer to.
Because I do feel like there's some financial infidelity going on here.
For sure.
And that, I mean, especially if they are struggling financially, you got to talk about it. And you can continue to hold this in and kick this can down the road, but the more you do that, I think the worse it's going to get. So, communication on The Bert Show.
The Bert Show.
Like what you just watched? Well, you can get a lot more of The Bert Show for free on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.